Well, this certainly is not the video that I thought we'd be making. We are talking about one of the players that we always seem to discuss as Vancouver Canucks fans. And I know this video isn't really a Vancouver Canucks related video, but this name has been circulating this channel the past few months. And he happens to be a guy on the Boston Bruins whose impact in Vancouver was super noticeable. However, this time around, we're not talking about this guy because of anything he had spoken about in regards to the Vancouver Canucks. We're not talking about how the Canucks should have kept him. We're not talking about the physical impact and the imposing nature that he brings in the game. No. We are talking today about Boston Bruins defenseman Nikita Zadorov and how he had spoken out about Montreal Canadiens prospect Ivan Demidov. As always, this show is brought to you by ExpressVPN. If you need a VPN, go out there and use Express using our affiliate link in the description below. You'll get some free months, you'll save some money, and you'll help out the channel all in the process. But also linked in the description is going to be this article published on responsiblegambling.org by Igor Rabiner. This was from earlier this morning. If I were Chicago, I would have taken Ivan Demidov. Nikita Zadorov speaks about Demidov and the Calder race. RG.org has been a really interesting source for Nikita Zadorov quotes from everything. Talking about Vancouver, talking about Boston, talking about the transition from Vancouver to Boston, talking about his trade situation, and how everything went down last year into this year. Lo and behold, Zadorov is a Boston Bruins defenseman who has been given top pairing minutes, and for segments of the season he has been in high regard, and other times he has been the subject of intense criticism, mostly due to his penalties. But still, Nikita Zadorov had a pretty interesting comment or two about the Montreal Canadiens and Ivan Demidov. The article opens up about how Zadorov is one of these really interesting dudes to talk to because he's always been outspoken, he's always been very expressive and open, especially compared to the average hockey player. So, let's go out there and talk about how the Chicago Blackhawks might have made a mistake. Zadorov doesn't fancy himself an NHL scout, but he does his best to keep active and watch as much hockey as possible, including back home in his native country. He, like many in the hockey world, have been very impressed with the rapid progression of young Russian phenom Ivan Demidov. The Montreal Canadiens prospect is on pace to have the most productive rookie season in the history of the KHL and looks primed to make the jump to the NHL next season. According to Zadorov, Demidov should have never been available when the Canadiens selected him at 5th overall. I haven't watched his full games, only seen the highlights, Zadorov said in an exclusive interview with RG. His skill set is so elite that I'm surprised he fell to 5th place at the draft. His skating, shooting, and hockey IQ, it's really fun to watch him go. Without lacking any respect towards Chicago Blackhawks prospect Artyom Levshunov, Zadorov estimates, although the Blackhawks made a calculated risk in trying to shore up a position of need on defense with the 2nd overall pick, they made a mistake with passing on Demidov in the 2nd overall spot in the 2024 NHL Draft. If I were Chicago, I would have taken him. When you have a player with such natural talent and hockey IQ, in my opinion, you grab that. The rest will work itself out. You can teach defense, and he's shown a willingness to improve that part of his game. In his estimation, Demidov is tailor-made for the Montreal market, possessing the right personality and values to thrive in such a hockey-mad city. Ivan is such a media-friendly, nice guy, Zadorov explained. I think he'll fit perfectly in Montreal. It's a good place for him. They'll develop him well, and the fans will instantly love him. And so I thought this was super interesting for Nikita Zadorov to speak about how Chicago might have made a mistake and how Montreal deserves props. Because the Montreal Canadiens are probably, in Zadorov's estimation, going to give Ivan Demidov a perfect environment to thrive in, a perfect environment to progress and get better in. He is a guy who has gone through some real bad growing pains this season, and it's not his fault, it's just kind of how the KHL and Roman Rottenberg like to do their business. This is not surprising. We acknowledge that this happens all the time with KHL guys that are super young and super talented, But Zadorov, it's honestly kind of weird for him to straight up say, yeah, I think Chicago made a mistake. Artyom Levshunov, they shouldn't have taken that guy. They should have taken Demidov. It's kind of funny because I feel like Artyom Levshunov, out of all the players in the 2024 NHL Entry Draft, if there's anybody that plays sort of that Nikita Zadorov style, I feel like Levshunov is one of the closest guys to it. Levshunov has that physical edge, he moves, he can play well defensively. He's kind of like old school Dion Phaneuf in a way. In a game where the old school Dion Phaneuf kind of mold isn't really used anymore. You don't really see players step up and bring in the boom like that, like your Big Justice or something. But still, Zadorov gives some massive praise to Montreal for making this pick, and that's not even it. He talks about some other young guys around the NHL. There's an entire commentary that Zadorov has about Matvei Michkov. He says that he has mixed feelings about the young Philadelphia winger. You can go out there and read the article yourself if you want to see that. And he also talks about Lane Hutson. Take a look at this. Zadorov has seen and heard all about Lane for over a year now, watching his highlights on social media and his game with the Canadiens so far this season. However, being a big stay-at-home D-man, Zadorov offered both praise and criticism for the young Canadiens blue liner. As for Hutson, he's just like Quinn Hughes, but just a slight notch under his level right now, said Zadorov. I saw his highlights all of last year, so his success doesn't surprise me. I'm not a big fan of defensemen who play like midfielders in soccer personally. I'm a little more old school, and I think that if you want to win a Stanley Cup with Hutson, who looks like a top-end offensive defenseman, he will need to shore up his defense. And that, of course, is not necessarily wrong. Hey, is Lane Hutson a perfect defender? No, I don't think anybody's going to say that. But I do feel like Zadorov is being careful with his words here. He's trying not to say, yeah, Hudson's not good at defense. Like, he's not saying that at all. He's just going out there and saying, yeah, if he needs to work on his defensive game, that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. Quinn Hughes is a top-level defender at the NHL level. He's one of the best to play the game at the moment, and so I don't take any offense to the way that Zadorov talks about it. I mean, think about it, yeah. Hutson is like a discount Quinn Hughes at this point of his career. They play similar games, they have similar offensive impacts. That's not surprising at all, really. It's good, though, that he's giving Hutson the props that he deserves, right? I mean, Zadorov going out there and speaking out about the guy and acknowledging that he has been a very good young player. That is certainly going to please Montreal Canadiens fans, although I will say, you know, since when does Nikita Zadorov care about pleasing the Montreal collective fan base, right? It's kind of a new development these days in regards to the way that he is conducting his interviews. But anyways, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about this Nikita Zadorov interview, how he spoke out about some certain Montreal Canadiens guys and Chicago Blackhawks guys. Do you agree with his assessment here? Do you think that the Chicago Blackhawks might have made a mistake by passing on Ivan Demidov and not taking him second overall, instead deciding to go the position of need route, taking Levshunov? No disrespect to Levshunov, of course. I think he's going to be a pretty good defenseman at the NHL level. But still, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.